When I think about the birth of Jesus, I think about God becoming a man and coming down to rescue us. And really, the Christmas season and celebrating this time is such a special time when we get together with our family and our friends. And one of the questions that I love to ask over and over again as I study the scriptures during the Christmas season is, why did Jesus come? And one of my favorite passages that really details why Jesus came, even before he went to the cross, it's actually in John chapter 13. And it says in John 13:1, the context is, before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour had come to depart out of this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. And then it says, during supper, when the devil had already put in the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given him all things into his hands, that he had come from God and that he was going back to God, he rose from supper, he laid aside his outer garments, and taking a towel, he tied it around his waist. And then he poured water into a basin, and he began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel that was wrapped around him. When I read this passage, I see Jesus, really not only saying why he came, but really beginning to model and live it out in a really unique way. If you continue reading later in the passage, it says in verse 12, when he had washed their feet and put his outer garments and resumed his place, he said to them, do you understand what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you also should do as I have done to you. Jesus came not to be served, but to serve. And when I look at the Christmas season, when I think of little baby Jesus being born to Virgin Mary, and just all the amazing things about Christmas, I just constantly want to ask the question, why did he come? Why did he come? Why did he come? And one of the reminders that I was reminded of this morning as I was studying the scripture was that Jesus came not to be served, but to serve. And I think when we look at the life of Jesus and we begin to ascribe and even want our lives to look more like Jesus, I think we should also ask ourselves, how much of my life looks like this? How much of my life is more about serving others rather than being served? And I think as we look at the life of Jesus and we look at the way that Jesus lived, we can really be inspired to lay down our lives and serve others every single day.